In the hidden rooftop garden, where city lights dared not intrude, Ethan faced his past in the form of a woman whose gaze was as haunting as it was familiar. Lily, his obsessive secret admirer, stood before him, her eyes reflecting a storm of emotions, longing, hurt, and an unyielding hope for forgiveness. With the scent of jasmine heavy in the air, and the distant hum of the city as their only witness, Ethan realized this confrontation was merely a harbinger of the heartbreak yet to come. The stakes were high. Every unspoken word was a thread in the web of their tangled history. As the night unfolded, Ethan knew he faced a choice that would either mend the delicate ties between them or shatter their fragile connection forever. Chapter 1: Echoes of the Past. Ethan paused at the edge of the school gymnasium, a faint smile playing on his lips as he took in the scene before him. The nostalgic scent of polished hardwood floors, and a distant echo of laughter and music, mingled with the murmur of conversations. It was as if time had folded in on itself, pulling him back to a simpler era, yet the weight of his past clung to him like a shadow. He adjusted the collar of his shirt, a futile attempt to quell the nervous fluttering in his chest. Returning to his hometown for the high school reunion had seemed like a good idea, a chance to reconnect, to see faces that once filled his everyday world. Yet the ghosts of decisions unmade and paths untaken whispered in his ear, reminding him of the regrets he had never quite shaken off. As he stepped further into the room, the flicker of familiar faces greeted him. Some unchanged, others marked by the passage of time. Small clusters of people gathered, their conversations punctuated by bursts of laughter and the clinking of glasses. Ethan tried to immerse himself in the warmth of the moment, but his mind kept wandering back to the choices that had led him away from this place. "Ethan Carter, is that really you?" A voice broke through his reverie. He turned to see Tom, his old buddy, grinning wide, arms open for a hug. "Tom, it's been ages," Ethan replied, a genuine smile breaking through his introspection. They exchanged pleasantries, their conversation a dance of nostalgia and updates on life since high school. But as Tom moved on to greet others, Ethan's thoughts drifted once more. It was then that he noticed her, a woman standing across the room, her presence both enigmatic and oddly familiar. Her gaze met his, and for a brief moment, the rest of the world seemed to fade into the background. Her eyes held a depth that stirred something within him, a flicker of recognition that was both unsettling and intriguing. Though she quickly turned away, the encounter left Ethan with a sense of curiosity that gnawed at him, a question mark hanging in the air. Who was she? And why did she feel like someone he should remember? The night wore on, filled with small talk and laughter, but Ethan's mind kept returning to the mysterious woman. He caught glimpses of her occasionally, moving through the crowd with an ease that belied the tension he felt. Each time their eyes met, it was as if she was silently acknowledging a shared history he couldn't quite place. As the evening drew to a close, Ethan found himself standing by the exit, his heart a tangled mess of emotions. The reunion had stirred up more than just memories. It had awakened a longing for resolution and clarity. Just as he was about to leave, he felt a light tap on his shoulder. Turning, he found himself face to face with the woman. Her smile was soft, mysterious, yet filled with a knowing warmth. "Ethan, it's been a long time," she said, her voice a gentle melody that hinted at secrets yet to be uncovered. "Do I know you?" he asked, the question escaping before he could stop it. Her smile widened, and she nodded. "You will remember soon enough. Until then, let's just say, we have unfinished business." With that, she walked away, leaving Ethan standing there, his heart pounding with an unexpected anticipation. As he watched her disappear into the night, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. The echoes of his past had been stirred, and with them came the promise of answers he hadn't even known he was seeking. Chapter 2: A Familiar Stranger. Ethan stood in the cool night air, the hum of the reunion fading behind him, as he tried to collect his thoughts. The woman's parting words lingered in the recesses of his mind, a puzzle waiting to be solved. He hadn't expected his return to be fraught with such mystery, nor his heart to be so easily ensnared by the past. The gentle click of heels on pavement interrupted his thoughts, drawing his gaze to the figure approaching with determined grace. Her silhouette was softly defined against the backdrop of streetlights, each step purposeful yet hesitant. As she neared, the dim light revealed her face, wide, luminous eyes that held 1,000 untold stories, framed by a cascade of dark hair. "Lily," she said, her voice carrying the weight of both a confession and a revelation. Ethan blinked, recognition dawning slowly, as if a veil had been lifted from a distant memory. "Lily, from school." She nodded, a small, enigmatic smile playing at her lips. "I wasn't sure you'd remember me." "I do now," Ethan replied, his voice layered with surprise and a touch of embarrassment. "I didn't know you were." She chuckled softly, a sound that was both familiar and new, like the first notes of a forgotten song. "I didn't make it easy for you. I was the quiet one, always a few steps behind. But I was there, Ethan." The reality of her words settled over him like a gentle rain, seeping into the cracks of his long-held perceptions. "You were always watching?" "Admiring," she corrected, her eyes meeting his with a sincerity that struck him deeply. "You had this light about you even then." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him, a blush of surprise mixed with humility. "I had no idea." She laughed again, a sound that seemed to lift the air between them. "That's why it was a secret, but things change, people grow, and sometimes we have a chance to rewrite the endings we thought we knew." His heart quickened at the prospect, a mix of curiosity and hope threading through his chest. "Is that why you're here now?" "Partly," Lily admitted, her expression softening. "I wanted to show you something, if you're willing to follow." Ethan hesitated, the weight of his past decisions tugging at him, yet the allure of the unknown was too tempting to resist. "Lead the way." She guided him through the quiet streets, their footsteps echoing softly in the night. They walked in companionable silence, the city around them a backdrop to the burgeoning connection between them. Eventually they arrived at an unassuming building, its brick facade cloaked in shadows. Lily led him up a narrow flight of stairs, the sound of their ascent punctuated by the occasional creak of wood. When they reached the top, she pushed open a door, revealing a hidden oasis that took Ethan's breath away. The rooftop garden was a world unto itself, a secret Eden nestled among the urban sprawl. Twinkling fairy lights wove through the lush greenery, casting a gentle glow over the myriad of blooms that swayed in the night breeze. The air was rich with the scent of jasmine and earth, a fragrant tapestry that wrapped around them both. Ethan stepped forward, his awe evident in the way he took in the scene before him. "This is incredible." "It's my sanctuary," Lily confessed, her voice a whisper of vulnerability. "A place where I come to dream and remember." He turned to her, a newfound respect in his gaze. "Thank you for sharing it with me." As they stood together, the initial tension between them began to dissolve, replaced by the warmth of shared history and the promise of new beginnings. They spoke of the past, of school days and forgotten dreams, their words weaving a tapestry of nostalgia and understanding. In that hidden garden, beneath the canopy of stars, Ethan found himself drawn to Lily in ways he hadn't anticipated. Her presence was a balm to his restless spirit, her laughter a melody that resonated with the chords of his heart. As the night deepened, Ethan realized that this encounter, this familiar stranger, was not merely a chance meeting, but the opening of a door he hadn't even known was closed. Chapter 3. Unveiling Memories. The rooftop garden was a tapestry of emerald and twilight, the city below a murmur of distant life. Ethan stood amidst this secret haven, feeling both humbled and captivated by its hidden beauty. The fairy lights above flickered like stars brought close, casting a soft luminescence on Lily's face as she sat beside him on a weathered bench. "This place is magical," Ethan murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter the illusion. Lily smiled, a gentle curve that spoke of both pride and a quiet vulnerability. "I've always thought of it as a refuge, a place where the past feels less daunting." Ethan looked at her, a question forming in his eyes. "Why did you want to show it to me?" She hesitated, her fingers tracing the wooden slats of the bench as if searching for the right words. I wanted to talk about the past. I think there's something you need to know. The night air seemed to still, holding its breath as Ethan nodded, his chest tightening with anticipation and a hint of dread. I'm listening. Lily's gaze drifted to the canopy of leaves above, the shadows playing across her features. Back in school, you were always so full of life. So confident. I admired that about you, but there were moments, brief as they were, when your actions affected me more than you realize. Ethan's brow furrowed, his mind racing through memories like pages of an old yearbook. How do you mean? She sighed softly, the sound carrying a weight of unspoken memories. You probably don't remember, but there was a time when you stood up for me, you defended me against some harsh words from others, and it meant the world to me. But then, without realizing, you joined in with those same voices a week later. It was like the one light I had suddenly flickered out. Ethan's heart sank, a mix of regret and self-recrimination churning within him. Lily, I didn't know. I never meant to hurt you. I know, she replied, her tone forgiving yet firm. It was a long time ago, but I've held on to it, not out of resentment, but because it taught me resilience still. I wanted you to understand. Their eyes met, a bridge of shared pain, and the possibility of healing forming between them. I wish I could take back those moments, Ethan admitted, the sincerity of his words resonating in the cool night air. I spent so much time running from my past, trying to forget the things I've done wrong, but maybe it's time I started making amends. Lily reached out, her hand resting gently on his. We can't change what's done, but we can choose how we move forward. Ethan nodded, a newfound resolve taking root within him. I want to do better, Lily. I want to make things right, not just with you, but with myself. They sat in silence, the garden enveloping them in its tranquil embrace. It was a silence full of promise, an unspoken agreement to explore the path of forgiveness and redemption together. As the stars began to fade against the encroaching dawn, Ethan felt a sense of clarity he hadn't known in years. This garden, this moment, was a symbol of dreams both past and present, a testament to the possibility of hope reborn. And in that quiet rooftop haven, amidst the whispering leaves and the promise of a new day, Ethan and Lily began to rewrite their story. Chapter 4: Lingering Shadows. Ethan woke with the first light of dawn, the remnants of his dreams still clinging to him like morning mist. Thoughts of Lily filled his mind, their conversation from the night before replaying in a loop, each word resonating with an echo of regret and hope. Determined to face the shadows of his past, Ethan found himself wandering the familiar streets of his hometown, each corner a reminder of the life he once led. The air was crisp, the sky a canvas of soft hues, as he made his way to a small cafe tucked away on a quiet street. A place where he could gather his thoughts, far from the noise of yesterday. As he settled into a corner booth, he was startled by a familiar voice, one that stirred a forgotten warmth within him. Ethan Carter of all places, the voice mused, a teasing lilt that pulled a reluctant smile from him. He looked up to meet the eyes of Sarah, his old flame. She stood there, a vision of the past draped in modern elegance, her presence as commanding as ever. Sarah, he breathed, both a statement and a question. It's been too long, she said, sliding into the seat opposite him without hesitation. Her eyes held a knowing glint, a hint of the history they shared, a history both captivating and complicated. Yeah, Ethan replied, his voice a mix of warmth and wariness. What brings you back here? Same as you, I imagine, she said with a soft chuckle. Reunions have a way of dragging us back, don't they? Their conversation flowed with a practiced ease, yet beneath the surface, Ethan felt the undercurrents of unresolved emotions tugging at him. The vibrant energy that had once drawn him to Sarah now felt like a tether to a past he was struggling to reconcile. Time slipped away as they reminisced, the cafe bustling around them, until Sarah's eyes captured his with a sudden intensity. You know, there are things we never really talked about, she said, her voice dropping to a more intimate tone. Ethan nodded, his heart rate quickening. I was young, sad we both were. Entangled in something neither of us fully understood, she added, offering a smile that was both wistful and knowing. But here we are, and some things feel unfinished. The weight of her words lingered in the air, an unspoken challenge to confront the emotions he'd long buried. Yet, as he looked into Sarah's eyes, he was struck by the realization that his heart was already moving in a different direction, drawn to the quiet strength he found in Lily's company. "I've been thinking a lot about the choices I made," Ethan confessed, his voice steady as he navigated the delicate terrain of his heart. "And there's someone else now, someone who makes me want to be better." Sarah regarded him with a mixture of surprise and understanding. "Lily," she said, the name hanging between them like a revelation. Ethan nodded, an unexpected relief surging through him. "She's different, and being around her makes me see things clearer." Sarah reached across the table, her hand brushing his in a gesture of both farewell and blessing. "I always wanted you to find that clarity, Ethan. It's what you deserve, what we all deserve." As they parted ways, Ethan felt a shift within him, as if a layer of the past had finally been peeled away. The lingering shadows of his regrets were beginning to dissipate, leaving room for the light of new possibilities. Later, as he returned to the rooftop garden, Ethan found Lily waiting amidst the greenery, her presence a beacon of warmth and promise. "I wasn't sure if you'd come," she said, her voice a melody of relief and anticipation. Ethan approached, his steps sure and purposeful. "I needed to," he replied, taking her hand with a gentle firmness. "There's something about this place about you that makes the past feel less daunting." Lily smiled, a light that melted the last of his lingering doubts. "Then let's make it a place for new beginnings." In that moment, amidst the lingering shadows of their shared histories, Ethan and Lily stood poised on the brink of something new, an unwritten chapter brimming with the promise of redemption and the quiet strength of love reborn. Chapter 5: Crossroads of Emotion. The rooftop garden was alive with the murmurs of the evening breeze, a sanctuary where the city's cacophony was but a distant whisper. Ethan stood at the edge of the terrace, his gaze lost in the tapestry of twinkling lights below, each one a silent spectator to his inner turmoil. Ethan's heart was a battlefield of conflicting emotions. The afternoon with Sarah had stirred the sediment of old feelings, yet it was Lily's presence that haunted him now, a gentle but persistent reminder of the future he longed to embrace. The past and present clashed within him, each demanding acknowledgement, yet neither offering peace. The sound of footsteps pulled Ethan from his reverie. He turned to see Lily approaching, her silhouette framed by the soft glow of garden lanterns. She moved with a quiet grace, her uncertainty masked by a hopeful smile that tugged at his heart. "Ethan," she said softly, her voice a balm against the tension coiled within him. "You seem far away." He managed to smile, though it felt fragile, like thin ice over deep water. "Just thinking." Lily nodded, her eyes searching his. "I've been thinking too," she confessed, her vulnerability laid bare under the moonlight. "About us, about what this could mean." Ethan took a breath, the air thick with unspoken truths. "Lily, there's something I need to tell you," he began, the words heavy with the weight of his indecision. Before he could continue, Lily stepped closer, her hand reaching for his. The warmth of her touch was grounding, a tether to the present that steadied his racing heart. "Whatever it is, I want to hear it," she assured him, her gaze steady and unwavering. Her courage ignited something within him, a flicker of resolve, amidst the storm of doubt. "There was a time when I thought I knew what I wanted," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But meeting you has changed everything." Lily's fingers tightened around his, a silent encouragement that emboldened him to continue. "Being here with you, it's made me realize how much I've been holding on to the past," he confessed. "But I don't want to let it define me anymore. I want to move forward." A shadow of hesitation crossed Lily's face, an echo of her own fears. "And what about Sarah?" she asked, her voice tinged with the vulnerability of someone who knew the pain of second chances. Ethan met her gaze, his heart a tumult of emotions. "Sarah was my past, but you are mine now, my chance at something real," he said, the certainty in his voice a beacon in the darkness of his doubts. Lily's smile was a sunrise breaking through the night, a testament to her strength and resilience. "Then let's make this our beginning," she proposed, her words a promise of hope. They stood together, the night wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. In that moment, the garden became more than a place of reflection. It was a crossroad, a place where paths converged and choices were made. As they gazed out at the city hand in hand, the future stretched before them, an unwritten story waiting to unfold. And amidst the tangled threads of their pasts, they found the courage to weave something beautiful and new. Chapter 6: The Heartbreak Confrontation. The rooftop garden was alive with the murmurs of the evening breeze, a sanctuary where the city's cacophony was but a distant whisper. Ethan stood at the edge of the terrace, his gaze lost in the tapestry of twinkling lights below, each one a silent spectator to his inner turmoil. Ethan's heart was a battlefield of conflicting emotions. The afternoon with Sarah had stirred the sediment of old feelings. Yet it was Lily's presence that haunted him now, a gentle but persistent reminder of the future he longed to embrace. The past and present clashed within him, each demanding acknowledgement, yet neither offering peace. The sound of footsteps pulled Ethan from his reverie. He turned to see Lily approaching, her silhouette framed by the soft glow of garden lanterns. She moved with a quiet grace, her uncertainty masked by a hopeful smile that tugged at his heart. "Ethan," she said softly, her voice a balm against the tension coiled within him. "You seem far away." He managed to smile, though it felt fragile, like thin ice over deep water. "Just thinking." Lily nodded, her eyes searching his. "I've been thinking too," she confessed, her vulnerability laid bare under the moonlight. "About us, about what this could mean." Ethan took a breath, the air thick with unspoken truths. "Lily, there's something I need to tell you," he began, the words heavy with the weight of his indecision. Before he could continue, Lily stepped closer, her hand reaching for his. The warmth of her touch was grounding, a tether to the present that steadied his racing heart. "Whatever it is, I want to hear it," she assured him, her gaze steady and unwavering. Her courage ignited something within him, a flicker of resolve, amidst the storm of doubt. "There was a time when I thought I knew what I wanted," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But meeting you has changed everything." Lily's fingers tightened around his, a silent encouragement that emboldened him to continue. "Being here with you, it's made me realize how much I've been holding on to the past," he confessed. "But I don't want to let it define me anymore. I want to move forward." A shadow of hesitation crossed Lily's face, an echo of her own fears. "And what about Sarah?" she asked, her voice tinged with the vulnerability of someone who knew the pain of second chances. Ethan met her gaze, his heart a tumult of emotions. "Sarah was my past, but you are mine now, my chance at something real," he said, the certainty in his voice a beacon in the darkness of his doubts. Lily's smile was a sunrise breaking through the night, a testament to her strength and resilience. "Then let's make this our beginning," she proposed, her words a promise of hope. They stood together, the night wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. In that moment, the garden became more than a place of reflection. It was a crossroad, a place where paths converged and choices were made. As they gazed out at the city hand in hand, the future stretched before them, an unwritten story waiting to unfold. And amidst the tangled threads of their pasts, they found the courage to weave something beautiful and new. Chapter 7: Bittersweet Farewell. The rooftop garden was a symphony of shadows and light, the evening air crisp with the promise of change. Ethan stood amidst the familiar scents of jasmine and rosemary, his heart a quiet drumbeat of acceptance. The city sprawled below, a testament to countless stories, each light a flickering narrative like his own. Ethan inhaled deeply, letting the cool breeze cleanse the remnants of what once was. The garden, with its whispering leaves and twinkling lanterns, had become a sanctuary for his soul, a place where he could lay down the burdens of regret and embrace the serenity of his newfound peace. He had come to understand that the past was an intricate tapestry of lessons, and in accepting it, he found the strength to move forward. Lily approached, her presence a gentle disturbance in the stillness. Her steps were soft, yet each one resonated with purpose. She paused beside him, their shoulders brushing, a familiar touch that spoke volumes in its simplicity. Her eyes, pools of warmth and understanding, met his. "Ethan," she murmured, her voice laced with a bittersweet tenderness. He turned to her, a smile playing at the corners of his lips, a reflection of the calm he felt within. "Lily," he replied, the name a balm on his tongue, each syllable a testament to the journey they had traversed together. There was a pause, a shared moment of silence where words were unnecessary, where the air between them hummed with the unspoken. Then Lily spoke, her words woven with the courage of someone who had walked through the fire and emerged anew. "I want to thank you," she said softly, "for being brave enough to face the past, our past." Ethan nodded, the weight of her gratitude settling like a gentle cloak around his shoulders. "I couldn't have done it without you," he admitted, his voice steady, yet tinged with emotion. "You've shown me what it means to forgive, to let go." A breeze ruffled Lily's hair, casting it like a silken veil around her face. She laughed, the sound a melody in the night air, and tucked a stray strand behind her ear. "And you've taught me to hope," she confessed, her eyes bright with unshed tears, a mixture of joy and sorrow etched into her features. As the city lights flickered below, Ethan felt the pang of an impending farewell, a bittersweet tug at the strings of his heart. He knew this was a turning point, a moment where paths would diverge, each step a signifier of growth and new beginnings. "I'll miss this," he said quietly, gesturing to the garden, to her. Lily reached out, her fingers brushing against his cheek, a gentle caress that spoke of understanding. "We'll carry this with us," she promised, her voice a soft reassurance. "This place, this moment, it will always be a part of us." The truth of her words settled within him, a comforting echo that resonated in the chambers of his heart. "We will," he agreed, his hand covering hers, the touch a final seal on a chapter well lived. As they stood beneath the canopy of stars, the garden bore witness to their silent vows of forgiveness and acceptance. The past no longer loomed as a shadow, but shone as a guiding light, illuminating the path to their futures, separate yet forever intertwined by the threads of shared history. With a final lingering glance, Ethan turned away from the garden, his steps resolute and sure. The future awaited, an unwritten canvas full of promise.